Fernando Zobel was born into a family of landowners and industrialists. His father, Enrique, had in fact bankrolled Fernando Amorsolo's art education at the Royal Academy of San Fernando in Madrid. Zobel would devise rather famously the seita, or arrow, in 1957, brilliantly using a hypodermic syringe to shoot out the lines that for him symbolized the ultimate improvisation. Zobel next set about developing the magnificent Serie Negra, the Black Series. There are only a very few of these left in private hands, the majority being held in distinguished museums. Zobel painted these works only for a few years, thus making them a covetable rarity. Emmanuel Torres, writing about the Serie Negra, says, "It is nothing short of phenomenal when a painter, long noted for bright and exuberant colors, restricts himself to black and white. In the case of Fernando Zobel, one of the most rational of Filipino painters, this decision was born out of years of hard work and of inner necessity." He is represented at this November auction with the hauntingly powerful Perales de Tajuña, named after a quaint town outside Madrid. Perales is one of Zobel's rare and elusive Serie Negra, or Black Series. Carolyn Houston wrote, "My parents, Charles O. Houston and Flor de Lis de los Santos, met at Oxford University in Ohio, USA, in the 2 years preceding World War II. They were married by the end of the war. Both then received graduate degrees at Columbia University in New York, and subsequently answered the call of Flor's father, Mariano de los Santos, to come to Manila and work in support of the University of Manila. The University of Manila had been founded in 1913 by Mariano and his siblings, and it was called at the time Instituto de Manila. One of the original buildings is now in the Casas Filipinas de Acusar. Theirs was a generation of idealists wanting to restore the Philippines after the war and continue to improve the state of the country, particularly through education. During their time at the university, Charles was the first dean of Foreign Service and a professor of history, among other subjects. Flor was a registrar. It was during this period that they met and associated with Fernando Zobel in Manila. After a decade, my parents left the Philippines. By then, my father had been awarded a Fulbright grant to Spain. They corresponded with Fernando during the elapsed time and quickly reconnected, this time in Madrid, where we children remember going to some of his openings and visiting his apartment. Fernando helped my mother find competent doctors and would recommend restaurants. In my memory, he was extremely charming and personable and thrilled my teenage self by kissing my hand whenever we met. Our apartment in Madrid was provided by the Intercambio Cultural, which hosted the Fulbright scholars. It was a very decent place, but rather drab, befitting scholars' families who foresaw only short-term stays in the city. When Fernando visited us there, he noticed the lack of aesthetics, and the next day the painting Perales de Tajuña arrived from him. It was a gift to my parents to brighten their surroundings. My parents loved both the painting and, more so, the kindness behind it. And for the rest of their lives, it was hung in the most prominent setting in their various homes.